As we come on the air, Vance Boelter is beginning his federal sentence into targeted, politically motivated attacks on Minnesota state lawmakers and their families. Today's sentence means he will never leave prison. Thanks for joining us at 5 on air and streaming. I'm Chris Harapsky.
And I'm Lauren Lemanchek. This brings a tragic chapter in our state to a close, with emotions still incredibly raw as family and friends shared heartbreaking impact statements and the weight of Boelter's violent spree.
It follows Boelter's guilty plea last month after both sides hammered out a deal that avoids the death penalty. And today the judge officially sentenced him to 2 life sentences plus an additional 40 years in prison.
We have team coverage tonight. Danny Spiewak is tracking just tons of reaction coming in right now. But we begin with Gordon Severson, who was inside the courtroom for the sentencing. Gordon?
Yeah, the courage that it took for these 14 people to stand in front of the court and speak today is nothing short of amazing. This morning, we heard from survivors of the attacks. We heard from Mark and Melissa Hortman's children, and we heard from Boelter himself, who only spoke 18 short words in his first public apology. The judge ultimately issued a sentence of 2 back-to-back life sentences plus 40 years. It was a sentence that was frustrating for some of the family members who are here today. Nearly 200 people filled the federal courtroom in Minneapolis Thursday morning, a room buzzing with conversation until the moment Senator John Hoffman and his family walked in. The room went silent and remained silent for nearly 2 hours as more than a dozen people shared personal stories of how the attacks changed their lives forever. Senator Hoffman told the court, quote, "He tried to silence my family through fear, to send a message that violence is stronger than democracy. He failed." Hoffman also praised his daughter Hope, who called 911 immediately after her parents were shot, warning police the attacker may be targeting lawmakers, a call he says likely saved lives. We also heard from several family members of Mark and Melissa Hortman. Several of Mark's family members were frustrated by the plea agreement that took the death penalty off the table for Boelter, with one family member saying, quote, "The worst thing that is going to happen to him now is not getting enough garlic toast on spaghetti night." While many are angry, we also heard heartbreaking details about the overwhelming sadness many of the family members live with every day, including the Hortman's son, Colin, who talked about how devastating it was to go through his own wedding just months after the attack without his parents, saying, quote, "My body shakes while tears squirt from my eyes, and I don't even know why I'm crying. I wonder, is this going to break my soul? This is my torture." We also heard from both Mark and Melissa's parents, who never expected to bury their own children.
She was a force, and her husband was a wonderful man, and the world is a poorer place without them both. So we will miss them.
At the end, Boelter himself stood up to speak, sharing only 18 short words to the families. Quote, "To every person I have caused loss, pain, heartache, confusion, sadness, shame, or loneliness, I am truly sorry." Immediately afterwards, the judge issued the sentence everyone was expecting to hear: 2 life sentences plus 40 years, ensuring Boelter will spend the rest of his life in prison. And one of the most devastating stories that we heard today came from Mark and Melissa Hortman's daughter, Sophie, who talked about being at a vet clinic shortly after the attack. She was there with her brother, and she talked about having to make the difficult decision to euthanize her parents' dog, Gilbert, because the injuries that he received from the attack were too severe. And it seemed like he was kind of the last piece of hope that they were clinging to in this tragedy. And when he closed his eyes for the last time and did pass away, all they were left with was the intense sadness after losing their parents. And within the last 2 hours, Sophie and Colin shared a statement with us saying they are grateful for the work to bring justice. They add, quote, "Our parents were public figures and known to people, but to us they were just mom and dad. And they were the happiest people just to be alive. They were so excited every day to do the big things and the little things, to be parents, to be friends, to be leaders, and so much more. They love to be here on this earth, and we will continue working to honor their legacy as we know others will too." And Lauren and Chris, back to you.
Gordon, you're right when you talk about the courage it took for people to get up and speak. I'm curious about the demeanor in court. Did Boelter look at them as they were addressing all this pain that he caused? And what was their reaction when he gave that very brief statement?
Well, Boelter was kind of sitting in front of us, so his back of his head was kind of to us, and he was kind of like sideways to the people who were speaking. So he mostly looked forward, appearing to try to avoid making eye contact with a lot of them. And I have to say that when he did say that brief statement that was kind of 18 words, really short, he immediately kind of turned and tried to sit down, kind of like I'm done, I'm going to go sit down. But the judge kind of said, you need to stand up here, we're going to finish with the sentencing. So he did seem to have kind of a more matter-of-fact kind of way to him, kind of like I need to move on with this, trying to avoid looking at them, showing very little emotion.
All right, Gordon, thank you.